Hey, this is Trav. So many of us use a knife on an almost daily basis, whether it's in the field or in the kitchen. And if you're like me, you can probably get by and sharpen a knife to the point where you can cut something with it. But to truly sharpen a knife properly is a skill that we're going to be talking about today. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Joe. Joe is a knife maker, and today he is going to teach us the proper way to sharpen a knife using his 3-stone system.
Today, and for most of us who aren't knife collectors, just want a sharp knife that they use, whether it's in the kitchen or hunting or a pocket knife, really doesn't matter. The techniques and the things I'm going to show you today apply to any of those. My main tools are going to be these diamond stones right here. The only other thing that we're really going to need are our Sharpie markers. And I'll show you what we're going to do with those in a bit. I've got a little bit of water. You can see there's actually some bubbles in the water. A little bit of soap in there. So when we put them on the stone, the soap helps break the surface tension of the water. So the water just spreads out over the stone. That's all it is. Some of your other stones over here, the wet stones, these Arkansas stones, they recommend to use an oil, a honing oil, which is another option. The diamond stones actually just say water's fine. One quick question, that I get asked a lot, I mentioned the guided system and the angles. They say, well, what angle do you hand sharpen your knives at? 20 to 25 is what you're going to see a lot of your sharpeners at, especially if they're at fixed angles. You'll see 20-degree angles, 25-degree angles, maybe even 30. How do we get there? Well, we can go from here, 90-degree, half of that 45, half of 45 again. My math isn't so good, but what is that, about 22 and a half? So there's going to be some wiggle room there, but it at least gives you a ballpark figure to shoot for as far as the angle of the knife on your stone. The important thing is to find a comfortable hand position for you. Something where you can get down, lock in on that angle, and hold it consistently. So I like to start coarse. You can start coarse and then we can move through the grits and get rid of all the scratches and stuff that we're going to get there. But if I need to remove metal, and it's going to go a lot faster by having a coarser stone. It's a lot like sandpaper. If you've got scratches in wood or whatever your project is, you start with a coarse grit and then you move up from there to get finer and finer. It's the same idea when it comes to knife and our edge here. I think sharpening a knife by feel, at least for me, I call that hippie crap, because the feelings have no place in knife sharpening. Okay, you want to think the only thing you can really feel. You can feel sharpness, you can feel things with your hands. But just throwing it here, it's a lot easier if you have a visual marker you can go by as well, which is why you have the Sharpie. Whether you have a guided system or you're going to choose to do it freehand like this, the Sharpie is going to actually give us a visual way of knowing when we're done and where we're actually sharpening this blade. So pretty simple. So if we're going to get started here, let's say I want to start with this edge first. All I do is I simply take my Sharpie and I mark the cutting edge right there, because that's the edge I want to sharpen. So what we do, and the idea behind this, is as we sharpen on our stone, we're going to wear that Sharpie line down. And so that's going to give us an idea. Is our angle correct? Do I need to hit the tip more? Do I still have Sharpie here? It really tells you where you need to go and where you need to hit a little bit more. The other thing we're going to use today is what's called a burr. Let's say here's our sharpening surface. This is our stone right here. Okay, so there's our knife, there's the blade. We're sharpening right here. I go back and forth, but as we're going along the stone, whether it's this way or back and forth, as you sharpen, the metal on the edge here isn't going to get cut anymore. It's going to get so thin, and it's actually going to roll up on the opposing edge here. That's what's called the burr. Okay, the burr is not a bad thing. It's what we want. It's important we raise that burr to get started. So we'll raise the burr on this edge, and then we switch to where we're sharpening in this direction. We'll do the same thing on the other side and raise the burr. Then we're going to move on to our next grit, and we'll do the same thing. the burr's going to be a lot smaller. We're going to rub it off. We're still going to have a burr, but it's going to be a lot smaller on each side. From there, we're going to go to our last stone. These are the ones that most people have. It's a finishing stone of some kind. So when I'm sharpening the knife this way, I actually stand behind. Kind of a pinch grip right here, come down to my angle. You're going to see some strain on my fingers, but that strain is to more just pinch the knife. It's not downward pressure. Okay, so pretty light. And then I'm coming across. And as I come across, I'm raising the handle to bring the tip across the stone. Okay, so it's almost like a U shape I'm making, down and across and up like that. Stopping at the tip. So I go only as far as the tip's going to go, stop, and then I come back. There's some variation even here. A lot of people and techniques say, well, just pick one way, come back, pick the other way. On the coarse stone, it's not going to matter here as we get started. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. So once I get going this way, let's say I'm done there. I usually switch positions, come to this side of the table, and here's my grip to go back the other way. And it's more of a, like this, more of a sweeping across. But then I can hold, and the mechanics are the same. So if you could see my arms right now, you can see there's not a, I'm moving more at my angles. My hand, my wrist, and everything is really locked in. And it's more just straight across. There's no movement in my fingers. The fingers are just holding the knife, same with the wrist. The rest of the movement is in my arm. So this is the part where you can take mine, you know, the way I do it and try it. It may not feel comfortable for you. You may be comfortable doing everything from this end, going this way, and then simply turning and coming back this way and doing the same thing. It's up to you, but you can see how my hands waver a little bit. I don't feel comfortable, and I can see the blade rocking on that stone. Alright, so after sharpening the one side, I've managed to raise the burr. So for you at home, the way you can feel that, we made sure the Sharpie is rubbed off on the side we were sharpening, and then you go to the opposite side. Okay, so I was sharpening like this, go to the opposite side, get your thumbnail, go right along the edge of the blade, all the way to the tip, and your fingernail is gonna actually catch on the burr right there.
You can feel that.
You can feel that. That's correct. So with the combination of the Sharpie on the one side, rubbing that off, and then feeling the burr on the opposite side, we know we're done. So feel that all along the entire edge of the knife.
Excellent.
Okay, so now I'm going to switch my position because now I've got the burr on that side, but I'm still on my coarse stone, so I need to come to this side and start sharpening this side. We're going to push the burr back over on the side we just did. So here's my sharpening motion.
So Joe, it looks to me like you've just got to have a lot of patience and take your time, huh?
Yeah, sure does. Just take your time, work back and forth, and just know when you do this, it's going to take a little bit of time, but you put the work in, and it's actually easy to maintain this edge and to resharpen once you do it right the first time.